Welcome back into Grand Slam Sports. My name is Jay Hodge, alongside me, Charles Foster. No Jackson Strasburger today, currently living life out in the Big Apple. We begin with college basketball for the first time here on Grand Slam Sports with some unfortunate news. JT Toppin has torn his ACL and will miss the remainder of the college basketball season. A big loss for Texas Tech.
JT Toppin has officially torn his ACL. Will not play for the rest of the season. This one is a tough pill to swallow, especially for Texas Tech, because Texas Tech was in a situation where they were looking like a team that could make a real splash in March, but they already lacked depth. That was one of the things that we talked about that they do not have. And now losing your best scorer, losing your best rebounder, losing that player that is going to really spread out the offense. I mean, you had that guard-big combo, and just losing Toppin, it really puts a wrench in that plan, and I think that Texas Tech is the worst for it.
Yeah, and with them also being in the Big 12, probably the hardest conference in all of college basketball this season, them having multiple wins over 3 of the top 5 teams in the nation. But you mentioned that depth, and the depth is really an issue because you get on the list of guys. They have Anderson, they have Atwell, Watts, but that's about all they have. They have about 4 guys who can maybe fill in some of the gaps that Toppin will leave behind. But after you get past 4 or 5 guys, you kind of have a bunch of role players who really don't do much in terms of providing you a spark. So for Texas Tech, who needs to step up for this team?
I think we're going to see LaJon Watts, the freshman forward. He's going to have to be the one that's going to have to really step up, because with JT Toppin's absence, that's going to leave in that opening for him. And I think as we look at this team, this is a team that I really do think could have made it to the 3rd or 4th round. And now seeing this, I don't know if they even make it out of the 1st. I mean, this has really been such a drastic change in a team that, like you said, beat 3 of the top. Now, I don't think this team dies with JT Toppin, but I mean, you look at this, like you said, the depth is gone. This team really goes as far as LaJon Watts plays. If he plays well, if he can fill that void that Toppin is missing, then maybe this team can make a little bit of surprises, but this is no longer a natty contender for me.
Because obviously you still have Christian Anderson, who's still averaging about 19 points per game. He's going to fill in hopefully some more scoring and get above that 20-point or so mark per game. But we'll kind of see what this team has to offer down the stretch, because they have 2 more tough games. Them being the Big 12, half of the conference is in the top 25. They play at number 6 Iowa State and at number 23 BYU in their last 2 games of the regular season before they go to conference tournament play. So we'll see what this Red Raiders team actually has for us without their lead guy in JT Toppin. But we are getting towards March, so we have to go ahead and provide some early winners for March Madness. Obviously, the Final Four this year is here in Indianapolis. So, Charles, who is your early March Madness winner?
This one's really boring, and I really hate that I had to pick it. But this is one of the few times that I've ever looked at a team and just been like, I got to take number 1. Michigan is the best team in college basketball, one of the better teams that we've seen in a very long time, and I really love this roster. I'm a big fan of Yaxel. I was a fan of him coming into last year whenever I thought that he could potentially be a draft prospect. He's a top 20 pick now. He's even boosted his draft prospect from before, and this team is so big and they're so talented. I mean, they have absolutely BTA some of the best teams in the country, while even winning some of the games that they may at the time were not supposed to. They only have that 1 loss against Wisconsin, which was against Louisville, if I remember correctly.
It was Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, sorry, wrong red team. Wisconsin, and that was, one of those games that we look at as, it was a step in the wrong direction, but since then, they've been straight going.
11-game winning streak. And not only do they have Yaxel, they have other guys like Johnson, Mara, Elliott Cadillo, the transfer from UNC, who can pass the ball significantly well. Michigan, they have a bunch of bigs. They have the guards to complement the bigs, and their offense has been lights out. And obviously they have a big game coming up against Duke in the next few days. We'll get into that matchup here in a little bit. But for my March pick, I'm going to go with the Arizona Wildcats. I like what I have seen from them this season. Yes, they had 2 losses back-to-back. They responded nicely off of that recently in their big win that they got. They're 24-2, first in the Big 12 right now, tied with Houston. Obviously, the big game against the Cougars coming up in the next few days as well. But they have the guard play to me. They have Braden Burries. Koa Pete, if he can come back healthy, because he has that leg injury currently, if Koa Pete can come back healthy, there's not really a go-to scorer on this team, but it's a team full of team-heavy guys. I mean, there's a simple team, and they play ball really well together. Every single player complements one another. And to me, plus that big Krivos of 7-2, they have the team that can make a push in March.
I think a lot of it does come down to Pete if he comes back healthy. I like this Zona team, and they've been one of those teams, but those 2 losses they've had recently is kind of the thing that has been, scaring me towards them. This March Madness is all about being hot, and we're going to talk about our dark horse teams now, and this is a team that has been the most hot team in basketball, one of them at least, NC State right now, currently coming off of some wins against UNC, coming off of a win, another top win against Clemson. I mean, this is a team that is on fire, and they have looked really good. Now, they're currently predicted to be an 8 seed in the bracket, so I don't think they're going to go and win it all. That's not what I'm saying. But I think that this is a team that could make a Sweet 16 bid, potentially even make an Elite 8 bid, because they are on fire. They're hot at the right time, and I really like
them go on runs before.
We have seen them go on runs before.
Obviously, different coaching staff now than it was a few years ago when they made that Final Four run as what was an 11 seed, I believe. That was a crazy run for NC State. Yeah, I mean, they get the big win against UNC, although UNC, they didn't have one of the better players playing in that game, so that's still what concerns me about NC State. NC State, yes, they can be good at times. Just their inconsistencies concern me a little bit for NC State. But that's kind of said about any dark horse that you're going to see down the list. I'm going to stick in the ACC. Still weird to say that, by the way. SMU is in the ACC. But I'm going to stick with the ACC and go with the SMU Mustangs. I just watched them demolish Louisville. And Louisville, to me, is a really, really good basketball team. They have a really, really good program going on there, and SMU just demolished them a few days ago. SMU, I love Boobie Miller. This guy is utterly insane. He's hit some great game winners this year. He is a phenomenal guard for this team. They have the bigs to play. Yes, they have 8 losses so far in this season, but they have some big wins. Texas A&M win comes to mind. UNC by 14 when they were number 12 in the nation, and that went over Louisville just a few days ago. So to me, SMU, they're kind of like a 6 to 8 range right now on the seed line. I think they can make a run if they get the right matchup.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that either. I think that both of these teams that we talked about are teams that have been very hot, red hot. Like we mentioned, that's the thing about these playoffs is, it's only one game. Anything can happen, and being hot is what gets you over that edge. So I think, SMU, NC State, these are not bad picks. We have nothing to argue with, Jace. I like this. We picked some good teams.
Let's see if we can argue now. Let's get into the 2 big games this weekend, beginning with number 1 Michigan taking on number 3 Duke at the Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. This one, a possible national championship preview. Some of the best players in college basketball, Cam Boozer and the Duke Blue Devils, Yaxel Lindenberg and the Michigan Wolverines. This is going to be a fun one.
I'll tell you one thing. The Final Four is in February this year because we got some great games this weekend, and this is the one that's headlining it all. And, Michigan comes into this game as the favorite. But you look at Duke, this is a team that is no scrubs. Cam Boozer has been one of the best players in college basketball. He's currently a top 3 prospect. The argument can be made that he can go number 1 this year, especially with the Peterson trials that we're going to be talking about in a little bit. We look at this team, and we look at Michigan versus Duke, and this one's a hard one. This one is a hard one.
I don't see it being very difficult for myself.
You don't see this one being difficult at all?
I think Michigan takes it by 10.
Okay.
To me, because, Cam Boozer, being 6'9", being that forward, many teams haven't figured out how to throw bigs at him, but Michigan, they have 3 or 4 bigs to throw at him. So for me, if Duke does not have their role players surround Boozer with some outside scoring in this game, they're going to struggle. And I don't think Duke has those guys to do that. I think it's going to be the Cam Boozer show, or Duke loses by 20. Cam Boozer has to get 40 points in this game, or they lose. And I think Michigan is not going to allow that.
I thought you were about to say some BS, but honestly, I don't hate that at all. Like I said, Michigan is they're the clear favorite in this game. They're the clear favorite for me in the tournament. So yeah, absolutely, I think Michigan takes this one. I don't think it's a blowout, and I don't think 10 points is ridiculous. So I think that this is a team that is simply better. They're bigger. We talked about Mara, who is one of the better bigs in college basketball. He's looked really good this year, and now he's coming in against a player like Cam Boozer that has used his size, used that length to a very well ability this year. Now you have a team that is just as big, if not bigger. So
and for Duke, that guard player, talking about that now, they have the guys in Isaiah Evans and Caleb Foster. If Duke's make a run this year, who needs to step up outside of Cam Boozer, outside of Isaiah Evans, outside of their big and Ngangba? Who else needs to provide some big plays?
Oh, that's a hard one. I'm going to say they're going to have to look at Dame Sarr, freshman guard, he's going to have he plays the guard position. He's going to have to be there for them because this is a team that the guard play is going to have to take the win for them. They're not going to win the forward play. You look at the field goal percentage for Michigan. It's one of the best in the nation. You look at the way that this team plays in the paint. They're going to have to beat them on the arc. They're going to have to just simply make more threes, and that's something that Duke isn't exactly going to come in favored it as. So it's going to be very interesting to kind of see where they go here.
Yeah, and if you aren't intrigued already, this is the number 2 offense versus the number 3 defense in all of Division I college basketball. A big one from Washington, D.C. tomorrow. As we head, though, we'll switch gears real quick, head over to Daryn Peterson. You kind of talked about Peterson and him being possible number 1 overall pick. People don't think he should be now because of the saga going on with his cramps or whatever is going on. with Daryn Peterson. He's asking to be checked out of games now after making three-pointers. I just don't understand it.
This one is one of the more confusing situations for me because talent-wise, Daryn Peterson is one of the best prospects that we have seen in college basketball history. I mean, I love Daryn Peterson. I think that his play speaks for itself. He reminds me significantly of that Trae Young. I remember watching Trae Young in my 8th grade, in my science class, on the big board during March Madness and cheering for that. I mean, like, he was one of the best prospects, and Daryn Peterson reminds me so much of him. But is that a positive in the way? Not really, especially whenever Peterson has been calling himself out of games. The issue is, and one of the biggest issues that we've seen with the draft these past few years, is the thing that where people say players don't want it. They've been so set up for life, they've known they're going to be the best for life, that they're just okay with taking those breaks, taking those shortcuts. I don't hate Daryn Peterson's mindset of, you are $1 billion investment. You are one of the, like, your body is literally your investment, and keeping it healthy, especially whenever you don't need college basketball to be a top 3 pick, isn't a horrible thing to do. But you are no longer going to be a number 1 overall pick now, and I think that is the biggest thing with him. Unless he goes to a team that needs a guard, I mean, it's going to be really hard to justify taking him over someone else.
Teams are going to look over him because of the mentality right now.
Yeah.
Because of the mentality. Because you expect, when you pick a player, you expect them to have the right mentality that they're going to go out, they're going to compete day in, day out, no matter what the scenario is. And this is, this is Division I basketball. This is the Big 12 we're talking about. This is the Kansas Jayhawks we're talking about, and Bill Self. And I just don't understand why you can ask out of games if you're a player of this magnitude and not be harmed for it.
He doesn't want it. He doesn't want it as much, and he wants to keep him. And it's hard because, you don't hate it. Yeah, I remember what Shaq used to say, how he didn't go to college for another year because he kept on getting fouled so much that he got hurt, and he didn't want to risk getting hurt. But, I mean, you take this situation as well, and you see this is a guy that isn't going to put the team first. He's not putting Kansas first. How can you guarantee he's going to put your franchise first, your business first? How can you guarantee that he's not going to, make those plays? We see it with VJ Edgecombe whenever he got drafted last year, how this was a guy that people were raving about because of his mindset and his skill. And there was another thing with Cooper Flagg coming from a small town but also being skilled. These things matter whenever you get drafted. You can be as skilled as you want, but if you do not have the good mindset, you will not succeed. And we see that with Ace Bailey. He got stuck to the realm of Utah because he could not get his attitude right. And now we look at another player like Daryn Peterson that has potential to be the best prospect since Victor Wembanyama, to come in and not want it enough. You're losing a number 1 overall pick, but I honestly don't think he cares.
I don't think he cares either. I think he just wants to get to the NBA, get paid his money, go out and play ball. If he cares to play ball at this point, it's all interesting. And for Kansas, they have some tough games coming up, and they're still ranked 8th in the nation with or without Daryn Peterson.
They're still
playing
good
basketball.
without him.
I mean, it's still the Kansas Jayhawks.
Yeah.
They're still going to be good. They're still going to make a run here in March, I would imagine, with or without Daryn Peterson. But back to the big matchups now tomorrow. The other one, number 4, Arizona, number 2, Houston. This one to me is a little bit more intriguing actually because it's a conference matchup. These two teams are currently tied atop of the Big 12 in the conference, and 2 very good programs. Arizona, though, without Koa Pete, how do they compete?
Houston, I think, is my favorite for this one because we look at a team that is a little bit hotter. We look at a team that is coming in with, they had that rough loss the other day, but they also look a lot strong. And Zona is coming off of 2 straight losses. And that's one of the hardest things is that those 2 losses really, really stick out for me whenever I talk about Arizona. I mean, these teams are so incredibly even, but one of the things is that 89% of teams in the college basketball world have an over 500 record at home. Home court advantage means something. Home court advantage means something. Houston has not lost at home. And Houston has one of the best home court advantages in college basketball. So you're coming in to Houston expecting to get a win, coming off of 2 bad losses.
The Wildcats, though, they did just get a win against BYU a few days ago.
Yeah.
They took down BYU, obviously BYU and Ibanza. They're struggling kind of right now, the Cougars are. But for Arizona, without Koa Pete, I don't see them having really much of a chance in this game. And Houston's defense being as good as they are, they're going to shut down about anybody you try to provide in the scoring column. And with Houston, they have scoring this year, too. They have Kingston Flemings. They still have Emmanuel Sharp. They have a lot of these guys from last year that, they were on the verge of winning it all last year. They were right there to winning it all last season, and they brought 2 of their main guys back, and they added 2 freshmen, one of them being Flemings, who is, to me, a probable, maybe top 5 pick in the NBA draft. So for Houston, they have a really good squad. I think Houston is one to watch out for to annihilate teams the rest of the way.
Yeah, we look at Houston, and this is one of those matchups I'm more excited for in the tournament if this becomes a tournament, because we know Pete will be. We hope that Pete will be healthy, and we hope that both these teams will make it that far. So this is more of a matchup that I'm just like, I don't think I want to take this one with too much emphasis. You know, Zona's not fully healthy. They're not exactly the hottest team in basketball right now, and you're coming into Houston in already a hard territory, even if you were healthy. In March, this will be more than likely, this will be a neutral site. Most teams will most likely be healthy. This will be something I look more towards the March aspect. I kind of take this game with a grain of salt, but it is still very important. I'm just saying there are going to be people out there that if Houston wins this game, they're going to say, oh, Houston's way better than Zona. No. Wait until the tournament time. I think that will tell more than this game will.
So we both agree that Michigan and Arizona are going to come out, or Houston are going to come out
No.
winners. Whoa. So we both agree that Michigan and Houston, the 1 and 2, will come out the 2 winners this weekend.
Yeah, unfortunately so. No arguing in this first segment, but we're talking a little bit in the NBA.
Yeah, we got more hoops coming up next, the NBA on tap on Grand Slam Sports. From college hoops to the professional side now. Charles, I'll turn things over to you. Some overreactions to 3 players.
Yeah, we have this beautiful, beautiful era of social media basketball where people love to throw out the word bust. And, well, we're going to talk, are these players bust or are they not? And there we have some things that, is it an overreaction to say? We're going to start off with one of the biggest players that we've seen in this conversation, Scoot Henderson.
I don't think he's a bust. Give him another year. He was put into a weird situation in Portland where they had a lot of guards at the time. And, they're still getting Dame back as well next year. He's kind of been backlogged in that guard position in Portland. He's played well from what I've seen so far this year. He's played well. He's had his moments. It's about can he have a few more of those moments more consistently. To me, Scoot Henderson can still be a high-level NBA guard. It's just a matter of time.
If you think that Scoot Henderson is a bust, delete your Twitter account. Delete whatever social media you are watching him on. Delete whatever stats app you are watching him on, because you are clearly not watching the games. Okay, this has been one of my biggest frustrations, is that people think that Scoot's not a bust because he's not Victor Wembanyama. Because, yeah, he's not Victor Wembanyama. Victor Wembanyama's the biggest prospect since LeBron James. And we look at Scoot Henderson, we look at this. He's coming off of a torn ligament coming into this year. He's played 4 games. He's been on load management the other half of it. He's averaging 15 points a game at a very, very stacked guard team that has been dealing with so many injuries and a borderline playoff team in the Portland Trailblazers. I mean, I don't understand how people can be so quick to throw around the word bust, especially for a player that we expected the world out of. But for 2 years, he averages only 15 points a game. And
he'll be fine.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
He'll be okay.
If you think that Scoot Henderson is a bust, I am so sorry, but you need to stop talking NBA. Going on to number 2, Zachary Richardson, one of the more interesting number 1 overall picks in our time, and one of the more boring draft casts that we've done.
Yeah, this one's tougher for me because you hate to call him a bust, but he just hasn't been fantastic. He just hasn't been a world beater. And when you're a number 1 pick, you're supposed to be, the next great thing in the NBA. Obviously, that entire draft class was mediocre at best. So it's hard to call him a bust because he's still averaging, above 10 points per game. He's still playing okay at times in Atlanta. He just hasn't been what you would want to see out of a first overall pick. He has the skills, the build to do so. It takes a little bit more building up than you see in most first-round picks or first overall picks.
This one, I'm not going to call him a bust. You know why I'm not going to call him a bust? Because I never thought he was going to be good enough to be a bust. No one thought that he was going to be a top guy. We all acknowledged. We even said it on our draft broadcast 2 years ago that this draft is the draft for role players. If you need a role player, now's the year to get it, because Zachary Richardson, he has the body. He's a 3-and-D guy, but he is simply not a number 1 overall pick. He never was, and that's no hate to the guy. He is a guy that reminded me of DeAndre Hunter, someone that I would take and be happy with in a middle lottery. And if this guy was drafted 16, 17,
he'd be a phenomenal pick.
He'd be a phenomenal pick.
Exactly.
So it's just unfortunate that he got put in the draft that he was in, because this guy is not a bust. He's exactly what we thought he would be. He averaged 4 points in French. Okay? He's what I wanted him to be. He literally is doing his job. It's just people see that number 1 overall pick, and then unfortunately, he's going to be associated with that for the rest of his life. And he wasn't even the best player in the draft class. Alex Sarr just didn't want to go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just such an unfortunate situation for him. I don't hate Richardson, but for a number 1 overall pick, yes, he is a bust. So, I mean, I don't hate that.
Go into the next one. I'm going to get
Paolo Banchero. Chase, you're very passionate about this.
Who is possibly calling Paolo Banchero a bust? Who is possibly? You talked about deleting your Twitter account if you named Scoot a bust. You need to delete a lot more if it's Paolo Banchero calling your bust. I just don't understand this. He just led Orlando to playoffs in what, back-to-back seasons, if I'm not mistaken. They're going to be back again this year. Yes, he might not be like, your all-NBA first-team kind of guy, but he is a team leader, and he is going to go out and get you 25 and 10 a game at times. And he has some of those pop games as well where he scores 40 points. He can do everything you would want out of a star player. Superstar? Maybe not. Star? Like high-level star? Yes.
This is another one of those things of people shooting themselves in the foot whenever they come up with these players and these ideas of what a player can be. People are saying he's going to be like LeBron. Oh, he reminds you of LeBron. And that's why people think he's a bust. He's averaging over 21 points a game on a Magic team that went from being irrelevant. He said it himself. He said that he was so not used to not having that many fans in a stadium because he had more fans in college basketball than he did in the NBA because Orlando was such a small market, because Orlando didn't have a good team. Orlando is a playoff contender year in and year out. And yes, he's having an off year. It happens. Alperen Sengun, one of the best centers in the league, is having an off year. We see this. Do not think that Paolo Banchero is a bust just because he's having a bad year. Paolo Banchero will be just fine. He's still the franchise player of the Orlando Magic. And if you don't want him, I know 20 other teams that do.
You said maybe a bit of a bad year for Paolo Banchero, maybe a little bit of a hint for this next segment, Charles, as you're heading over to the video wall momentarily, looking at the Foster 5, the most disappointing players. Charles, who do we got?
Yes, I do, Jason. We come here today to actually mourn my 5 disappointing players this year. And we're going to start off with number 5. We're going to start off with Cam Johnson. This is one of those ones that I didn't necessarily want to put on the list because Cam Johnson isn't necessarily having a bad season by any means. But we look at Cam Johnson right now, and he was one of those players that was actually projected to be one of the best trade pieces, and he's simply averaging 11. He's not been amazing, but he's been shooting the ball the way he's supposed to. So he's doing his job, but he's no longer been the guy that we have really expected from him. Looking at number 4, we are going to take a look at Darius Garland. This is a guy that has had not been shining the way that we thought he would. Got moved on to LA, though, so we're going to see if LA is actually a new home for him, if he's going to have a chance to be that number 1 guy for the Clips and see if he can finally turn that around. Number 3, we see Dyson Daniels. Dyson Daniels was a triple-double a night kind of guy. He was a defensive player of the year kind of guy, and he has come into this season just not looking nearly as good. He's kind of just been a role player for this Hawks team that has just fallen off a cliff. Number 2, we have Paolo Banchero. I do not think he's a bust. I hope you understand that's not what I'm saying, but he is still having a disappointing year, and if you think otherwise, well, you might need to get your eyes checked. And looking at number 1, we have Ja Morant. The guy doesn't play. He can't even get traded whenever they want to trade him. And he at least has been on the court somewhat from not suspensions this year. It's been injuries instead. So Ja Morant definitely going to tie off number 1 here. This is the Foster 5. Jace, what are we thinking?
Charles, I'm not sure how I feel about one of these guys. Yes, you look at Paolo Banchero, it's disappointing, but he's still averaging 20 and nearly 9 rebounds per game. Yes, he has not been as good as some people might thought he would have been. You mentioned he's not like he's going to be LeBron James. He's still averaging 20 and 9 per game. He's still having a very phenomenal season. And the Magic are still a contender in the East. So, I mean, maybe, yes, he's top 5, but I wouldn't put him that high on the list.
I think the reason that he is deserving of number 2, at least right now, is that this is a guy that at times Magic have looked better with him off the floor. I mean, his shot selection has really gone down. So I think the skills are still there. I just think this year alone, he has not looked the way I want him to look. He's taken a step back and not the step forward.
And, Cam Johnson, you mentioned you didn't really put him on that list. And yes, he's supposed to be a big trade piece coming over from Brooklyn, add to this Jokic team and try to put them over the top to win another finals in Denver. I would have him below a guy named Miles Turner. Miles Turner, myself as a Pacer fan, I was very angry when he left. Now I'm very happy that he left. This guy can go and play with Legos, whatever he wants, Star Wars movies and all that. He has been not good in Milwaukee. He has simply not played well. The Bucks have not been good. With Giannis, who's supposed to, if they're not good, he's going to eventually actually leave. And, you surround him with Miles Turner, you're not going to have success.
For me to be disappointed, it would mean that I would have to have expectations. Miles Turner, I never had any, so I can't be disappointed in him. All right, moving on to a topic I saw. I was scrolling through Twitter the other day, and there was a topic that's been going around. Who will be the first NBA player to win a ring out of the ones that do not have the ring? Now the conversation was between Cade, Luka, Anthony Edwards, and Victor Wembanyama. I had me and Jace both pick different players that we believe will be the first to win a ring, and I went with Victor Wembanyama. The guy is, they call him the alien for a reason. This Spurs team not only is one of the better teams in the league, they've actually had the Oklahoma City Thunder number. We take a look at Wembanyama. He's one of the best centers in the league, and you need a center most of the time to build around a championship team. I think Wembanyama is going to be the first one to get a ring just because of that versatility, because of the fact that he's already going to look like an MVP candidate, because of the fact that everyone wants to build around him, and the Spurs are a big market, and the Spurs have been very obvious in their way of trying to build around him and bring in players. They brought in Daryn Fox. They have Dylan Harper now. They have Devin Vassell, who is one of the better scorers in the league and just so happens to be on their bench. I mean, this is a team that is so stacked. And then you take in Wembanyama. Victor Wembanyama is my first player to win a ring.
And you can't forget about the addition of Stephon Castle in the draft as well. Stephon Castle has been utterly phenomenal passing the ball. I mean, he had that crazy game right before All-Star break where he had a triple-double with like 40 points. Stephon Castle did. This guy can have bursts as well. And this entire lineup is very, very good. And the Spurs, you build a team how you're supposed to build a team. You get a star player, a superstar player, and you build around him. They did exactly what you had to.
Take notes, Milwaukee.
And if I wasn't going to pick the guy I picked, I would have picked Wembanyama. I want to pick Cade Cunningham because I believe right now that they are the best team in the NBA above OKC. Detroit, they just annihilated the Knicks last night. And Cade had 40 points, and he was a triple-double last night, Cade did. And Cade has been very, very good, and I think he should honestly be in maybe some MVP conversations. He has been that good this season.
I'm thinking.
Yes.
Because I don't hate it, but I don't like it, but I don't hate it.
I'm not saying he should be the favorite. I'm saying he should be in conversations.
That's fair.
In conversations. He's obviously still behind the SGAs of the world and Jokic's of the world and whatnot.
The Pistons are so well built, and I love this Pistons team. So I don't hate it. The Pistons, I mean, yeah, and also in the East, which does help. I mean, the East is
soft this year.
The East sucks.
And see, I don't trust the Knicks to win anything because they're still the Knicks. The Celtics are still, without Tatum, questionable. The Magic, obviously, with Paolo Banchero, who knows? And you have Toronto. Oh boy, Toronto Raptors are going to do a whole lot of damage in the playoffs this year.
What about the Cavs?
I don't trust them at all. James Harden, wherever he goes, it seems to be a plague. They always lose.
Hey, fair enough. I do like the Pistons coming out of the East, so I don't hate it. I think Cunningham does have a good situation. I just think Wemby, we'll see. This could be a matchup in the finals.
Yeah, no, I 100% could be. I just don't see the Spurs getting past OKC. Yes, they have OKC's number, but that's the regular season. We've seen before a team owns a team in the season, but they don't get them in the playoffs. They can't figure out in the playoffs. OKC, a healthy OKC team, is unbeatable in the West.
Fair enough. Well, we're going to take a look at something that popped up a little bit really late last night. Adam Silver brought out his idea for the tanking crisis in the NBA. And believe it or not, it is not a tournament this time. So we're going to talk about some of the things on this list. I'm going to go through them all. And we're going to talk about the ones we like and do not like. Okay. First off, first-round draft picks can be protected only for top 4 or top 14-plus selections. Okay. Lottery odds freeze at the trade deadline.
What? Okay.
No longer allowing a team to pick in the top 4 in consecutive years and or after consecutive bottom 3 finishes.
That I do like. That's what the
NHL
does.
I don't hate. That's what I like. That's what we're suggesting. Teams can't pick in the top 4 the year after making the conference finals.
This is stupid. This is the biggest middle finger to the Pacers ever right here.
Yeah, no, I cannot explain. In fact, I'm not legally allowed to say the words that go through my mind whenever I think about how I...
So no. This would be saying that the Pacers last year, that they made the finals. So they would be ineligible for a top 3 pick or whatever. But they got ravaged by injuries. You can't control that.
Yeah, and like the Raptors situation where they were a top team and lose Kawhi. No, absolutely not. Lottery extended to include all play-in teams. That's just going to allow more teams to tank.
Why would we do that?
Flatten odds for all lottery teams. Once again, going to add more teams wanting to tank. These suck. Okay, like that's the way that I'm looking at them. This is a horrible list. There's only one thing on this list I'm okay with. That's no longer allowing a top team to pick in the top 4 consecutive years. Yes. That is what the MLB does, and it works just fine.
So does the NHL.
First-round draft picks can be protected only for top 4. That's also fine because then you can stop with these top 8 things because that's BS. The rest of this is a bunch of baloney, and I hate everything that the play-in team, it's going the opposite way. Tanking has been around since the dawn of time.
If you would open lottery to play-in teams, that would be the 7th best team in a conference getting a chance at a first overall pick.
Exactly. Imagine how good the Hawks would be if they didn't happen to get the first overall pick with Ricochet. Imagine if they got Wembanyama, a play-in team that got the first overall pick. I do not understand what Adam Silver, and number one, I don't even understand why this is that big of a deal. Tanking has been around since forever.
I've never liked the lottery to begin with, honestly.
The lottery sucks. Just do it flat.
Like the NFL.
Do it flat. Can we stop at the lottery? Or if you're going to do the lottery, do it in front of us.
Yeah, please live stream it. What are we doing?
Yeah, why?
No, because you let the Spurs, I don't believe for a second that was real.
I do not believe for a second that Cleveland, the hometown of the best player ever, is going to happen to get LeBron James. And the Patrick Ewing incident back in the day before we were even born.
I don't believe how the Jazz have, never yet been able to get up there.
Yeah, no.
I just don't believe it ever. I don't believe it.
Adam Silva, we have a lot more things to talk about than tanking, okay? Can we figure this out? Because what I'm looking at is this right here has been not an issue until the NBA investors come in. The amount of NBA investors that come in and they say, oh, well, we don't like the other teams are tanking because we can't do it. The Thunder are complaining about tanking. The Thunder are only good because they sucked for a few years. It's absurd to me. It is absurd to me.
I get it. I think you should just get rid of the lottery, flatten it, like you said, and just
I think we
move
should just
on.
get rid of the draft. Let's just do that.
Let's just make it free agency.
Yeah, let's just make it free agency. That'll work, Adam.
Most money wins. Knicks have every player now. It makes no sense. We'll see what the NBA actually does, because they said they're going to enact something next year. So we'll see what the NBA actually goes to. But that'll do it for today's edition of Grand Slam Sports.